Hello and welcome to another gameplay review on the Vrcayu Gameplay channel, and in this one we are finally doing a Nunu game. Now, tanks are not that popular as we go in a W Snowball extravaganza adventure, but, you know, Nunu's the one thing, the one tank that remains consistently strong in pretty much all tiers of play. You see them in Challenger, you see them in Grandmaster, you see them in low elo, people using it to get Diamond, and that's because you have the utmost river control, and you're seeing the W start. Now, this is the rank 1 Nunu player in Korea. So obviously the game style is going to be very, I want to use the term aggressive. A lot of activity, a lot of river control, a lot of spam ganking, and yeah, there are a lot of downsides, and we'll talk about those downsides, but the game remains very close until around 18 to 20 minutes. So you're seeing a lot of pros and cons for this playstyle that we can measure, and hopefully you can apply to your own games for climbing. But you will see this level 1 W start is really popular now, basically standard, because you can turbo invade like this. If you run into no one, then you can assume a counter invade, which actually in this situation is pretty logical. If you run into literally no one, you can assume that they've probably done this or done that. And in Korea, that's pretty much a standard thing. They're crazy. And in this case, I think they should be around here. There you go. And warded. They don't know that, of course. Red team has no idea. They're just pinging. They're keeping their awareness about them. But you should be able to sneak away the red buff. Rooms on your screen now. Obviously, phase rush is necessary for this kind of style. Aftershock is great into certain matchups. You don't want to take one or the other all the time. But phase rush is pretty much standard for most Nunu players at this point. We don't have the Q, so of course that is a bit of a downside, but with the passive and a leash and smite, you can basically take your red buff and now look straight to lanes. And we've talked a lot about this recently, but the power of early ganking, level 2 ganking and pressure, it's good. I think you need to look at that more so than a full clear for 99% of your elos. If you're full clearing looking for the Karthus full sequence dream, and the enemy jungler makes impact, winning lanes and creating tempo advantages across the map, it's tough. So let's see what the Nunu does here. We know at this point the Nidalee, sorry, I don't mean to pause too much, but the Taliyah started blue, they're showing up here, they're getting cheesed, we expect this. The Sylas is in position with his E-Change of Destiny to try and sneak away the Shadow of Death. He misses, but the Nunu has W, so the Nunu can say, right, let's go. And you'll notice E second, because CC is the most valuable tool on any level 2 cheese gank, especially if your laners don't have it. Now we can just attack him. And this is where attacking champions is very important, because you might have right-clicked the monsters otherwise. While he did that, obviously, we're busy fighting the Zed, the Sylas decides, you know what? I'm gonna help bottom lane. And is able to eke out an advantage there. Chains of Destiny once again up. He can zone. And the Ignite does work. Nunu now, you might think, alright, let's go farm it now. We burned the Zed's flash, he's gonna try get level 2 prior, but he's low, so we try again. We hit the snowball, we hit our E-proc auto, and we flash out with phase rush. And that's why this champion is so despised by laners and junglers alike, because what if Nunu keeps doing this? And you really need 3 camps, and you really need a little more power in your early game before you start spam ganking. Well, the Nunu's gonna beat you at that. Here, you have to now wait for your W, because you don't have Q, so if you don't have the W for the, the farming, you're in a rough spot. Normally at this point, you might be inclined to say, let's go to my red. Alright? The problem with that is, okay, you already have a red buff. Bottom laners, as expected when you cheese, you already have a red buff. You're already using it, and you might as well save this one for another time. And just to rewind, you see from the level 2 when the Alistar died, watch the Taliyah. This is important information. Now you might miss this very subtly while you're going for this level 2 gank. We did because we're focusing on Nunu mechanics. Don't miss it in game because you know she's going to be up here. Alright? Which means you know she's going to be doing your Gromp. So at this point you've got a divergent path. Do we try something? Do we try a little something? Do we take this? Do we collapse on this? Or do we flex the top side? Now, I might a bit more, I'm a bit more hesitant in terms of fighting this way. I might look to simply try and snatch this away, get this ahead, take this, like it's a little bit of pseudo-vertical jungling. But as I said, that's not always good when bottom lane has control. And if you don't know how to correct it, it can create issues. So what the Nunu does, we saw that, goes to the wolves, right? Now, you know the Taliyah is going to be here. So, the Seraphine is level 1, needs to play very safe and carefully. She has Flash. If you're gonna Flash... respect Flash to the W's maybe a little better, but the Nunu is here, you see? And now level 3. And so this play pays off greatly if you can anticipate this. Should be able to kill... Never mind, disengaged. Wait. Now the Zed's rotating from mid lane. So again, this kind of play style will eventually bite you. I think you would have gained way more advantages by flexing top lane like this. You get this crab, you get this blue, you get this Grom. She loses a whole bunch. She loses a lot because she only has 2 camps and you could potentially have 3 to 4 more, including a crab. So this doesn't really pay off. Now, however, we have more fighting. Sylas is going straight forward. The Zed has no flash. We burnt it. We can roll. We have Prio, and we get the crab at the very least. Good. Again, this is hyper-aggressive gameplay. Loves to spam gank and control the rivers. Zed has no flash. I do think we want to repeat this. Why? Because you look... juicy minions. And then the Zed is basically like, kind of want some experience here, and Sylas says no. And the Nunu says, hold up, I burnt your flash already. I'm gonna go back. And because of his pathing being so good, okay, by sticking to the wall, they would not have seen that whatsoever. However, don't in for it, because as we said, the minion wave is in prime position for a gank, but if the Zed plays safe and plays back, and you just suddenly start to fight in this, remember, the Camille is MIA, the Taliyah is MIA, and even though they might not be realistically in the area to gank you, I do think that would be a little bit more griefing than simply just going to top grab. So this is a good decision, because not only do you zone the Zed and let him know, hey, I'm in the area, you also don't touch the wave too much. So the Sylas now has complete control, because what's the Zed gonna do? You see? The Zed now, he can't afford to move up at all, so he's being zoned out of experience as well, which is huge. So, go ahead. We take our Scuttle Crab, enjoyment, tasty, and now we can go there. What did I use the word before? We can go probing for potential counter jungling and blue. Now I think in this case, it's pretty obvious. The Taliyah will be in this area because that has been secured and the baby's left behind. They were shoved off of that actually. So in this case, she must be looking to take her buff. There's nothing else down here. She wants to secure the Gromp, the blue, and so on. I'm glad she's actually right there. Don't necessarily go for this fight. I think I hit the plan just to sort of say, I'm in your head. And I think this is great gameplay if you are a carnivore jungler. If you're a Rengar, actually Rengar's kind of rough in the situation, but if you're a Lee Sin, an Elise, and you can really beat the enemy jungler 1v1 and into submission by tracking them and just taking the camps in their face, laners and a lot of low elos won't rotate. But this is high elo Korea, so I think here the Nunu should leave. I'm watching the lanes. The Sylas is rotating, but the Camille will get there first. Okay, no, the Renekton wants to come now as well. The Camille says, hey, I see what's going on. You see? And now all of a sudden you have an issue because the Renekton's moving right here. He's tanking some minions. He's losing valuable HP points. You can start to hijack this away. Alright? But remember, as soon as you fight too much like this, it's gonna bite you. Yes, your lane is rotated. What do we see? So yes, they're currently getting away with this, but you have to be very honest about the elo you're playing in. And a lot of times what I see is, even in high diamond and low master, I cannot believe what I watch. They go for this play, literally, but imagine Sylas is mid, Renekton doesn't do this because the wave wasn't crashing, and he can't, because he'd have to walk all the way around. You're in a rough position. You will die. 3v1, you'll give double buffs up. Cardinal Sin of Jungling, don't do it. In this case, yes, all his lane is rotated. However, you have to be careful because the Camille is so strong, and now they're split up. There you go. And that's what we want to avoid. Because you have to make the calculations in your mind. Do we win 3v3? Or am I simply taking this? Now, in this case, I think standing on this side of the blue is criminal. You should stand on the other side of the blue, looking to get away. And because you have Smite plus Consume, I don't think it should have been saved. I think we could have Consume Smited and just W'd out. No interest in fighting this, because if Camille hits this and she hits her stun, which is exactly what happens, right? and Camille ends up going on the Nunu. Zed hits his, incredible combo, 0.01 second death, and now Sylas is screwed, so... Not the best play. I said it before the play was made. Lane is rotating, that's great, but you're not looking to fight, and you're still forcing them to do something. Either way, off we go. Straight to the red buff. Now, you might be inclined at this point as Nunu to farm. However, our #1 active Nunu says, wait a second, Camille has no TP, she has no Ignite, Renekton has both TP and Flash. Let's go. Straight up. Aggression, red buff into gank, timed it, waited for the Renekton to come back into lane, and that should be an absolutely dead Camille. Well played. Too often in this place, in this time and space and place, whatever you're saying, the Nunu goes to the red buff, and then instead of going to that gank, goes to this, and then wants to gank. But you want to wait for it so that you do your camp in the meantime, right? Okay, so Camille TP's up, she's pushing the wave. This is brilliant for us. They might assume you were going to go somewhere else. And I don't know why they would, because it's very obvious when you get the kill here that she only has blue buff, which means Nunu didn't take the second red buff. Even so, when you're making this play on the blue buff here, you'd see that Nunu's red buff timer, in-game, it tells you the timer, was had almost none left or was gone. Which means that Nunu had not taken his own red buff yet. So what Nunu does is just waits. Okay? Wait for the Renekton. Make sure you guys are parallel. Okay? And if you can do the Krugs, for example, if the Renekton dies later, and you want to gank top lane for this, and the Renekton's over here, okay. We can do Krugs first and then sync up in the same way. The main thing is to make sure that you are synchronized, so that you reach at the same time, you can stack your CC, and punish her for this play. Now, we can do our Krugs. Quadrant sequencing and clearing. Now we can do our Raptors as well. Alright, we're watching the minimap. The pings come through for Tilly's anticipated positioning. He pings Raptors, she's actually down here, but we know she's red side because nowhere else for her to be. All her blue camps are down. The exception of Grom, but we don't know that. Now we can gank mid lane again, or we can go count on jungling. They're taking our Grom. This happens in lanes where you have a freeze and you're losing and you can't actually walk up. Understand, junglers, that this is not something bottom laners wish to do to you. We understand that the Gromp is supreme experience for you. But if this is frozen because of level 1 shenanigans that you instigated with your invade and set up with it wasn't really vertical jungling, but it was in essence a small fraction of vertical jungling in that, she was this side and dove level 3 or 2 at that point. And now the bottom lane just has a supreme lead, a freeze, a zone capacity, an all-in component with the Alistar. Yeah, there's no ways they can get experience unless someone rotates to help. And it's not that it's a ganking a losing lane that's bad, it's just helping your laner get to a position where they can actually lane. Because currently, bottom lane cannot lane. So Nunu says, fine, top side random crab is spawning. I think we could have gone probing, but that's fine. I like the attempt of the gank. We can get the top crab here. At this point, we have no idea what exactly is going on. We can anticipate that the Tilia would do her camps and potentially look to do this with the Alistar's Prio. So we want to get back to this side so that we can actually win that fight. Nunu uses good pathing. We actually see the Tilia there, but we don't know that yet. There's Alistar, okay, and there's a Tilia. Visual confirmation. See, what I'm talking about is trajectories, projections on where we saw them last, where they might want to go, what objectives are on the map that they could use their Prio to secure, like your blue buff. And that's why vision's so important, because you track potential outcomes for their positioning, and the wards, plants, and ganks will give you that information as confirmation, and then you can update, the data in your brain, and your AI brain jungle calculations can extrapolate further outcomes. So, looks like Sylas is going to chill now. He gets ulted because Zed hit 6 first, thanks to the nonsense of the blue buff invade. And he survives. And now you can have the blue buff. Problem is, I think you're getting invaded here. Because of this play, you're getting invaded. I don't know if I would go on that adventure. That's silly. Hey. We burn the flash, but yes, Hextech flash, we burn an ignite, but we lose our ult on our flash. That's silly. So what I would actually advise in this situation is just doing the blue, kite it down, If they wall hop with the plant, consume smite, use your passive, use phase rush, run away. Well, passive, use your phase rush, run away. And flash is a last resort, but you've got a tower right there. Either way, the fact that Sylas was forced out of lane is unfortunate. Nothing you can do, Seraphine, no! Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa Gaming. Okay, just desperation plays. See, the thing is, now everyone's kind of making dangerous plays. I mean, if Kai'Sa and Seraphine are both up, then they can help you defend this, but otherwise, don't rely on it. What is this snowball animation on the minimap? Okay. Alright, the coaching, not the coaching, the replay froze, so that's nice. Yeah, we can look to Herald. If you know they're on Dragon, if you see it visually, confirmation again, I think the idea here of a Herald is nice. If you need to rotate to those ganks, though, make sure you do so. So, here you have the gank again. This makes the Herald now significantly more risky. And if they suspect you're on it, they will collapse and kill you. The rotation here is good, though. But, you know, flash from Zed. Heal from Ezreal. The Alistar's alive. Renekton TP's in. Humel's gonna be here. You're gonna be outnumbered. You're ahead of the Taliyah because she hasn't really been able to do anything. But, this playstyle, consistently fighting, has a downside. Especially if not everyone is on the same page or they're not able to. You're gonna lose a Herald for that. Unless, of course, we can go with Sylas, pinging for help. She's level 5 at 9 minutes. Hey, that's a plus side. You make both junglers as useless as you. I think it was the odd one. There you go. By yourself. I think it was the odd one that said that way back about original Nunu, right? The goal is to make the enemy jungler as useless as you. And as new Nunu, you could do the same. However, you are always going to be useful just because you're Nunu. Nice W. Okay, we have Seraphine directly rotating again for the aura of goodness. Nunu alters back up. Nice root. And gets the full damage proc on the... There you, well played. So, there's positives and downsides to the fighting. If you don't have numbers advantages, you lose. If you do, you win. Easy. Just make sure you do the calculations, yeah? You know, if your team don't rotate here and you get a kill and you can get out before they rotate, then that's great. But that's a huge swing advantage. And now, the thing is, whenever you have those situations that they work out for you, not saying the decisions are necessarily always the best, but we're not here for perfection coaching, we're just here to sort of analyze what they do and why. But make sure whenever you make these plays and you get these kills, there's an objective at the center of it. Here we're fighting over the Herald, and because we win and get a lot of sums and a lot of kills, we can translate that very easily to another objective. Now there's no objective on the map, you've got 3 people top lane, Seraphine's going to be joining back in base, Kai'Sa's getting very valuable solo experience, we can afford now to go and farm a little bit. And this Grump now is level 6, right? So it's not exactly super fresh, but we want to get it off the map. You're probably going to lose this now if they go for it, but it's fine. You're 2 levels up. Now, Zed is rotating bottom lane. So when you see this, okay, a lot of junglers will just go and do these. When you see this sort of sequence down, I think it's great to move to cut it off. Counter gank the Zed. Any roots? Okay, don't overcommit. We have Herald, we have 2 plates. Seems like bottom lane could use some gold. We'll give it to him. Boom. Nice. Reset. Obviously, all red side's gone. Renekton did investigations for you. Thank you, Sherlock Holmes. Mid lane's being gangbang ganked again. But it's Sylas. And he's ahead. And there's a Seraphine who rotated because of your counter gank and Herald in the bottom lane. So we created that macro environment. Very nice. And now we can go counter jungling. There's no camps up. There's no objective up. We have everyone mid lane. We have push. Let's go. Scanning on approach as well is very good. Drag into the bush till we can see anyone else. Sunfire is complete. Hey, red buff will take that as well. You have global timers for these as well. Sorry, the as well thing is a very South African thing. They say as well a lot. And then they finish sentences with hey. That was a good gang, hey? Things like this. Right, nice counter jungling. Taliyah shows on a ward. If you're confident you can 1v1 them, do so. Just be aware that there could be rotations. Ah, everyone's bottom lane, never mind. Phase rush, go into a flash for our flash. We take that. Careful not to overcommit. And Ezra rotates. TP from the Camille. Seraphine misses ult, which is about, you know, I think we all expect them to miss them at this point. W the Camille's E. Sylas shows up with Camille R. They exchange numbers. Call me maybe. We have a fight. We want to kite back. Zed rotates, and that's what I'm talking about. I mean, what is that? 2. It's a 3-for-3 overall across the map. I don't like that. I think you force this fight. Once you burn a flash, you say, great. You go about your day. The fact that everyone rotates and fights, it's all like cute things. How do we go ahead about breaking this game, though? Because we've got 3k gold lead. Come on, Nunu. There we go. 3k gold lead. Kills are pretty even. Most of it lies in the Nunu. You know, it's the lead is with you as the jungler, and I think as a tank, if you want to be the carry win condition and you are this far ahead, forcing these fights is okay because you can survive, but can the rest of your team actually do anything? And if they cannot, then it's very important that you are picking the right fights, engaging at the right time, and peeling the most important carry on your team, which obviously at this point is Sylas. Seraphine should be able to do a good enough job keeping you alive with high skill kept items like Moonstone, which require a lot of skill. What's she at? Ah, she just got it. So, no healing yet. Let's check. So 14 minutes, 15 minutes, we get the Moonstone. We can check the healing again in a while. At the end of the game, maybe. Dragon's up, so this is a good fight. Alright, objective. We're looking... Nectin does have TP available to us. Zed's on the bottom lane. Camille's already MIA. She also has TP. I think you can start it. But you want to be very careful. Because Zed's used his W, that's important. Alright, here we go. Here we go. Kite it up. And they're split, so we can engage this. If you are a Malphite or a Sejuani, and you see 3 people down here, and you're fighting over a neutral objective, and their jungler decides to split from them and go through the top side, Kai'Sa's doing the right thing. Nunu doesn't have flash, really, and I think W's down yet, so nothing he can really do at this point. But if you are a Malphite, press the button, good sir. If you're a Sejuani, press the button. Annihilate the jungler because they cannot do anything. And once you burn the jungler, they cannot 50-50 the smite. I mean, can't really anyway because it's a Nunu, but you get what I'm saying. So Kai'Sa goes for it. She should be able to. There, they see exactly. Camille dives to Seraphine. Seraphine ults. The Nunu is deciding, do I want to peel this or help Miss Sylas? I think in this case you can afford to sacrifice the Seraphine because the Renekton TP'd in, you have a 3v3 in your advantage. Kai'Sa will join you thusly. And the fact that the Camille is in the backline really doesn't matter because once you shove them and kill them, you can always turn back, which is what the Nunu's doing. So it's it's well played. You can just let the Kai'Sa finish, you can chase the Camille, and these two zone the rest of them. Yeah, it's well played. Horrific by the Taliyah. Don't... If you're behind 2 levels and you're trying to get a dragon that could potentially keep you in the game, I think dying before it even happens is absolutely horrid. Alright, Herald is up. Now, a lot of people don't like this second Herald. I do. I enjoy it greatly. I think, Sylas plus Moonstone equals... plus Nunu peel and passive equals even more. So yeah, I mean, the idea here of doing some camps and then looking for that is great, but if they're gonna fight and you can collapse, do so. Counter jungle again. I think you want to drag the camp down because if they're going to be respawning... Ezreal ult. Tells you where he is. Okay. 17 minutes, 4k gold lead. Again, a lot of that on the Nunu, which is fine. That's what we wanted. Everyone's resetting. You cannot afford to do the Herald by yourself. You cannot afford to pull it out. I think we want to... I mean, I would yoink the red buff myself. Just for experience, because you want level 11, but you don't really... need it. Could give it to the Kai'Sa if she's fed, but I leave that to you. 1900 gold, we should have enough for Deadmans. Or we want enough for Deadmans, plus probably sell a pot and get a control ward. Now, he doesn't want to. He's got 10 stacks in the measures. He's going to keep farming a little bit. I don't like farming here. I think we're giving, you know... I understand the desire to sort of stay out at this point. But this is bad because your whole team is looking to accelerate the game state, and this Herald will help you do it. And we're busy saying, hold up, we need to farm, get an item. And in solo queue, that's fine. In pro play, you're probably not looking to do this. Not that you'd be able to, but... Okay. Want a Deadman's plus a Kindle Gem, and considering the plated steel caps. And should 100% sell that for 2 control wards. No question, please do that in your games. I know it was a little bit greedy. We could have gotten Deadman's and easily floated to the Herald sooner, but... Hey, we're all together now, except for the Kai'Sa who died. And that's... While we're talking about itemization and being in the right place, I mean, this is what we mean. You know, there's nothing for your team to do. You've got a split push, it means you're in a semi 1-3-1. You want to try break open this mid lane at that point. Would create nice push and prior for the objective, which we can then translate to more push for a dragon prior for the 3rd dragon. But the Kai'Sa has nothing to do, and we know everyone's topside. So she gets caught out, which is bad, but there's nothing really for her to do other than sit mid and wait for Nunu to complete his shopping. That ain't right. But we go for it anyway. Camille's bottom lane has TP. They're probably tracking this in high yellow. They're all mid lane. We can solo this. Keep an eye on the minimap while you do this. Just check if anyone's rotating. And now we can go. But the problem is now Renekton wants to reset. Ugh. This is what I'm talking about. I don't think that's the way you want to arcane shift Ezreal. We use a flash, get the E stun, very nice. You got the passive on the Sylas. Actually, did we even? No, doesn't really matter. That's not the way you want to arcane shift. So when this happens to you, just as a point of mid-game macro, I think that should help you understand the cadence of your team, because sometimes you can have a huge lead and think you're going to win, and then you do something like this Nunu, and your team just get caught out and dies, and now you're always 4, you're always 3, you don't always have 5 again, and all it takes is one situation where someone gets caught out, and they're together, they make a pick, and now you have to wait again, and that escalates, and they get to farm a bit more, scale a bit more, close the goal gap, and I hate that. I hate that. But, I mean, at this point, I think they're far ahead. Their lead is significantly bigger than the gold lead would suggest. And if you can make a pick on someone who shouldn't be where they are, Mr. Mukau, you can probably go Dragon. Baron and Dragon. Yeah, so I think you see the point of this hyper-aggressive river control invade spam gank gameplay. I do this too. Just let your team clean him. It's solo queue. You don't really need peak coordination. However, it would be nice if people didn't all die. It's okay, guys. I got it. That's fine. It's riskier, but if you play it by ear, if you can see them actually sort of winning the fight, then you can go ahead and do it and do the dragon now. Hopefully you can see, I mean, the Nunu spent a lot of resources ganking and denying, and the Talia's power thing really was stymied. She couldn't ever really get going because of it, and that's crucial with this sort of gank style, but the Nunu always found a moment to fall back, to do some camps, repeat gank. Early was a little messy. This invade in principle was good. Get the dragon. This invade at the blue buff in principle was really good, but you have to do the calculations. Can we 3v3 this? And once you've taken the dragon, I think this is pretty much wrapped up. Obviously, at this point, you're looking for a nice, good, juicy, fresh fight. You know, barrel it down mid lane in the most literal snowball sense. There's no ways they can kill you with a Seraphine and a Nunu peeling. Or apparently, they go back at the wrong time, once again. However, I think Sylas is just so far ahead. And the Nunu's damage plus this 10 Mejai's, it's classic with the Sunfire plus the Deadman's, looking very good. Hey, we just tank it up for days. Easy. And the healing on the Moonstone at this point, not even, you know, and she had it for like 8 minutes. And you got 3,200 worth of healing, so there you go. I mean, this stuff I don't really want to focus on. We've talked a lot about that macro in a lot of other videos, but one person go back, one person hold. Take the inhib. Fight the Camille. If you can beat her, just beat her. Nice collapse. How's it feel, Camille, to be trapped within your own trap? Run it down mid and then end the game, I think. There you go. Standard stuff. So, not the most interesting final few minutes, but as always, most games are not that interesting. I mean, to find really supremely close macro situations in solo queue is not going to happen. But hopefully you understand the nature of the Nunu gameplay. Definitely fun to watch if you are watching a stream or just looking for entertainment, because fighting. Blue team wins, red team wins, blue team wins. But don't forget the objective control. Don't forget to measure whether or not you should be invading, and farm in between. Best of luck peeling the right selection, using your passive correctly. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial. It's true, I will.